Good evening, welcome to the Bellingham Select Board meeting for February 2nd, 2026. If you're able to, I ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would see such a full house for a meeting like this. Yeah, welcome. All right, we're gonna open the meeting. In accordance with Bellingham Code of Bylaws, the Select Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 2nd, 2026, 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center Arcam Meeting Room to consider whether Doc's Classic Auto meets the criteria to hold a Class 2 license in the town of Bellingham, premises located at 174 Mendon Street.
And, oh, sorry, that's okay. So I got a call today from the licensee that he's not going to renew his application for his Class 2 license, so he'd like to withdraw.
Okay.
So if there's anyone in the audience that needs to speak, otherwise we can close the public hearing.
Oh, even better. I move to close the public hearing. Second.
All right.
Right, and so I need a motion to rescind the vote that was taken at the December 15th, 2025 Select Board meeting to approve Doc's Classic Auto Class 2 license and to accept the renewal application withdrawal per the licensee's voicemail on February 2nd, 2026.
So moved. Second.
And so if you guys can just say your names and vote, we need to do a roll call vote tonight because Anne's on Zoom.
Cody Spencer, aye.
Jen, aye.
Mike, aye.
Don, aye.
Anne, are you with us? I think she's there, but.
He's muted, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's shopping at Amazon. Yay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I said aye.
That's
Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
gonna go now. We have a presentation from Blackstone Valley Tech with Mr. Steele, Mr. Hall. Mr. Khan, sorry.
Well, good evening, Chairman Hennessy and members of the board. First, I'd like to just start by saying thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. Closer?
Yeah,
Closer?
yeah, thank you, yeah.
Obviously, as your career technical school, we like to keep you updated on what's changing, what's going on. Perhaps the most significant change going on at Blackstone Valley Tech is the new admissions policy. In fact, I would say for both tech ed across the state of Massachusetts. The state, just a few months back, over the summer, actually last spring, the Board of Education voted that all vocational technical programs across the state would go to a lottery admissions format, a whole new set of rules. This was a 10-year discussion. Some might say a 10-year melee, but it was spiritedly debated for about a decade. And the board finally made its decision last spring. And just over the summer, around July, the state gave us guidelines for how we would be implementing this lottery. So again, this is for all career technical schools. It even applies down to, for example, if Bellingham High had a Chapter 74 program, the admittance to that one program would have to be by lottery. So it's comprehensive. The reason why, there's a lot to talk about with Blackstone Valley Tech. I did have an opportunity to sit with Mr. Layden and Ms. Cochran last week to talk about some finances and placeholders. Happy to have any give or take or conversations around all things BVT, but by far and large, getting you up to date on what's going on with admissions and also what ties into that apportionment was something that we thought was of utmost importance. So, with your blessing, we have a PowerPoint, that perhaps makes it a little easier to show you what's going on.
Floor is yours, Mr. Steele.
All right. So the first slide is, as I was saying, last fall, 2025 here is when the admission requirements are being implemented for the first time. The first thing we're going to discuss is we're going to look at some application trends from our various towns, Bellingham included. In the regional voc world, there's 26 schools like BVT. So we have 25 sister schools that operate very similarly. Half of us have apportionment in the regional agreement, meaning how many seats or how many, what percentage of the school would Bellingham have, Grafton, Upton, et cetera. And about half of the voc tech schools do not have apportionment within their regional agreement. Valley Tech is one that does not have apportionment defined within the regional agreement. So the first thing the state said, that was one of the things in that spirited discussion I was telling you that we were concerned that this would cause disruption because it can become highly unpredictable on the outcome. So what the state did to respond to that was they said that any regional voc tech school that does not have apportionment in its regional agreement, if it sees that it's necessary or wishes to do so, then it can create apportionment within the admissions policy itself. And so we can show you why we thought that was a good idea. Before we flip on, just one more thing. We're now dealing with a statistical process of sorts. So for the first time, the Blackstone Valley Tech School Committee, third bullet there, is going to have to establish the capacity of the freshman class each year, because you have to now have a number of students that, a quantitative fill point, if you will, that we didn't previously worry too much about, but that will be set each year. Typically 315, because that is our absolute capacity. And so we've actually already taken a vote this year and set next year's fill point at 315. Overall, here's what we were trying to do. This had the potential to be incredibly disruptive to our towns, our member towns, both financially or fiscally, but also from the school systems, the 11 school districts that we work with, because we would see very erratic results year to year. We could see that coming, and so we wanted to design a method to this that was responsive to smoothing things out, making things happen over time to minimize that type of disruption. We're not going to give you a quiz at the end of this here, but new terms, new things were created in this process. First is a foundation ratio. So we needed to know for the first time, really, how big is Bellingham as it relative to our other 12 member towns? Most specifically, or most importantly, how many eighth graders are there in Bellingham? And how many eighth graders are there in the other sending towns, so that we can get a relative ideal, if you will, what's the ideal foundation ratio? And the fairest way to do that was to look at the Department of Education October 1 numbers. They're published on DESE's website for all of us to see. And when we looked at it, what you'll find in a lot of these things is that year to year, there's always fluctuation. So we found that looking at a 4-year rolling average was one of the first smoothing things that we did to, again, make things a bit more predictable and accurate. So foundation ratio is simply the rolling 4-year average of the number of eighth graders in each town. Next, you can see prior enrollment trend. We also looked at, said, well, how many students does Bellingham send to Blackstone Valley Tech? What has your experience been? And again, we looked at that on a rolling 4-year average as determined by the last 4 October 1 cycles. From there, we can create a target. And we say, okay, we know what the ratio should be, the foundation ratio. We know that our school, when it's full, is 1,260 kids. So if Bellingham, for example, was 12.48%, you can see the example here, then we know that Bellingham should have 157.24 seats. We intentionally gave an example with 0.24 in it because we can't take a quarter of a kid. That's obvious, but you can get into some significant rounding errors when you're looking over 13 towns. So we'll point those out as those go. Next, we came up with a delta. So what is the difference between the trend and the target? And again, that helps us tell you whether you're right where you should be. Do you need to gain seats or do you need to lose seats to hit that target? And last, what we're really looking for is the seat allocation. So when we have this lottery in March, this is coming up in March, there will be 13 lotteries. So there will be a Bellingham lottery strictly for Bellingham applicants, and each town will have its own lottery. But we need to know where we draw that cut line for how many seats Bellingham should be allocated. Now, you'll notice in all caps, we put minimum number of seats. So you can do all of this smoothing and rounding and math, but ultimately kids are pretty fluid. They transfer from town to town. Sometimes they leave the district or the state altogether. If you flip it, we couldn't do a maximum because then we lock ourselves in. If a kid transferred into town, for example, from Grafton to Bellingham, then we promised you a maximum. We would break the formula, if you will. So I just want everybody to remember that the numbers are, I think over time, what this does is give you a much more predictable number of students going to BVT. That's a good thing, especially for what Joe and Heidi do and trying to plan financially and so forth. So we like that, but we're very leery to, try to set a number in stone because kids do move, but we will be getting pretty close. All right, this might be a little harder for you to see.
Yeah.
This was the first thing that we looked at that said, our hunch was correct. So this is the number of applications from each of the towns over the last 4 years, or actually it's 5 years up there showing. So I can read across Bellingham's applicants, year of graduation 25, you went 63, then up to 78, then down to 42, then 40, then 73. Your 5-year average was 59.2, and the range, which is the highest from the lowest, was 38. So if we didn't do something about apportionment, what I can tell you is that the set of large numbers, the theory of large number sets, would tell me that if I put everybody's applications in a drum and spin the drum and pull it, it's going to track pretty closely with that. So the range up and down 38 is one of the disruptions that we wanted to avoid. That's almost impossible to plan for financially, and it's certainly disruptive to both Valley Tech and Bellingham schools. So we said, no, that's significant. In fact, if you look all the way down at the average, that yellow box there, across all of our towns, the average range is 26. And it's not just simply that they're trending up or they're trending down. What you see is this, whipsaw back and forth, pretty much every single town. So it told us that we need to design something smarter than just a simple random draw. Right? That was what started us down this path. Again, state said, we don't really care. It's up to you. You can do what
I apologize. They didn't give you any guidance?
No.
So no, okay.
They said we could do this if we thought it was necessary.
Thank
It
you.
was more the Vogue schools ringing the alarm bell saying, you're going to cause a lot of trouble here, folks.
Yeah, I would imagine they should at least give you guidance in some.
We're very grateful, Mr. Martin, that they gave us permission to fix it.
To fix it.
Okay.
Others will follow your model.
Yeah. Now, I can tell you some of our sister schools did some pretty simple things. They just said, well, in this definition, what's the foundation ratio? How many kids should Bellingham have? And that's it. Boom, we're gonna hit it. If we did that, then we were gonna cause a different kind of chaos, okay? Especially if you weren't close to your target. So we didn't like that either. So we set about trying to fix that. What you have here on this slide is the relative size of each town. Remember I told you that foundation ratio. How many 8th graders are out there? And this is based on the last 4 years of October 1 data. We had started presenting this concept before October 1. We had a few towns that asked us to come out and explain, what was going on. Cautioned them at that time that at that time it was 22 to 25. And we said, hey, don't get attached to these numbers because 22 is about to fall off and 26 is about to come on. So this is accurate. This is including the new 2026 certified numbers.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So when do you take that number? At what point in time during the school year do you take that? Because you've got your eighth grade that may decide school choice to this town, they may go to the charter school, they may go to Savarian or Bishop. When do you take a couple of points in time to come up with it?
So I can answer that for you. It's October 1. So
Okay.
for all of our schools in the state, that is their official point at which they count enrollment. October 1, we all, Bellingham schools included, submit our October 1 data. Then goes through almost a 2-month validation process. So we'll send the names over here and say, this is who we have correct, and vice versa, right? So a lot of verifying, validating, and then eventually they're released. We did also look at taking an even deeper dive and saying, geez, so we could get a custom report, possibly requested this from the state, to say, can you give me every kid of school age in the valley or by zip code? So that would be every kid who is homeschooled, private school, charter school, et cetera, that may or may not show up in your October 1. We realized that October 1, as it shows on DESI, is not perfect. They've yet to confirm whether or not they could get into that deep of an analysis. Some people like that because they think it fares in well for them. Some people do not like that. They'd rather we not look there. Okay, it depends on where you are.
Both sides.
Yeah, so the one thing we liked about DESI's October 1 number is you and I could go on DESI's website right now and look at it. Anybody, anywhere, anytime could go find that versus say a custom report is a little bit that's right. So we like the idea that it was completely transparent. In this case, you can see that the eighth graders, there are 1,722 of them. If you look at that fifth column, that's the average there. And on that population average, Bellingham is 159.25. If you compare all that together, Bellingham is roughly 9.24% by its population of eighth graders as compared to our other 12 towns. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. Next is the target. I think, Matt, Dr. Connors here has worked a lot on this. I think I'll let him co-present with me here. Tell him about foundation targets.
Sure. So this is like an onion. Every time I peeled back something, there was, more data and more decisions to be made. But in this particular case, all I'm doing is taking the 9.24% ownership from Bellingham and applying that to the 1,260 students that should make up or comprise of BVT. Again, we're reaching that 1,260 number by taking 315 for each class. However, keep in mind that we seldom graduate 315. It's rare that all 315 will make it all the way through. So when we start to look at some of the numbers at the end, it may be indicative of a class that's being graduated at 290, 305, right? So the numbers will be on the lighter side because of the very next slide, which is what has your enrollment trend been? And of course, baked into that each year is your sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are no longer with us. Okay, so your number might be 76, but a few students might have left over time. So the number would have started higher, but that's what it ends up with. Okay, so if you're taking those two, you're looking at this and saying, well, Bellingham should have 116.47 seats at the school in totality. And historically, they've been sending 75.75 students. Okay, so that's where they're at, and this is where they ought to be. If you're starting a school from scratch, you could take this 116 divided by 4 and just bring in that number each year, but that's certainly not the case. Okay, so we had to look at what Bellingham's ratio currently is and where they ought to be. And then that gives us the enrollment delta, which is the difference between where they should be theoretically and where they have been, and in what direction they need to go and by how many. Okay, so that number at face value is fairly abrupt. 40.72 students at Bellingham would need to increase by. And again, that would be unfair, I think, to any town manager and the local school system. So we wanted to slow that down a little bit. Now, you have to think of this number in totality. That 40 is across all 4 grades. So it's 10 per grade would be the number.
Another way of looking at that is that the fastest you could possibly approach your target is 25% at a time. So each grade level bringing in, that target number 4 times in a row, you'd finally wind up with all 4 grade levels at the proper number. So the fastest you could go is 25% marching toward the target, up or down. We decided that, of course, that left some very steep numbers. And again, we're looking at all towns, Bellingham included here. But we decided, well, can we slow that down? We initially were looking at a 10% factor. So instead of trying to approach it at 25%, could we slow it down to 10%? We've gone back and forth with this, our earlier iterations. We were saying, 10% seemed to be the sweet spot so that we didn't shock anybody and gradually move towards targets. We've looked at every single town and its case. You have to go 4 years into the future, i.e. looking backwards in lower grade levels, and found that 12.5% is indeed the best scenario to achieve all things that we're working towards here. So really, we're going at half speed of getting people towards their targets. So when you can kind of walk through this, Dr. Connors, with the 12.5%
Sure. So
ratio.
if Bellingham needs to go up by 40.72 seats, 12.5% of that is your 5.09 adjustment factor. You have to look at our senior class to see how many students are graduating. And then you're adding the adjustment factor to those vacated seats to come up with the minimum town seat allocation. Now, again, keep in mind that number, that delta is indicative of students that may have moved on, right? So when you add all of the percentages in all of the towns, it only adds back up to 299 students, and we need to get to 315. So the method of allocation for those 16 remaining seats would be to add them in the order of highest growth to lowest growth, which in many cases is a decline. So the top number there is Grafton, so they would get that first additional seat. The next number, I believe, is Milford. They would get that second, and then Bellingham the third. So we do that for 13 towns, but we need 16 seats. So ultimately, Bellingham gets a second extra along with Grafton and along with Milford to get to that 16.
So that gives you, in this upcoming lottery, a final seat allocation of 34. Right, so when we now do the Bellingham lottery, can you go back to the first slide on applications? That's the orange one, I think. Yeah. So typically you can see number of applications, we get minimally 40 and sometimes almost 80, right? So we would take all of the applicants in the Bellingham pool. Everyone gets a unique identifier, okay? This will be done live streamed with everybody participating. We would then go around and say, Mr. Layden, do you see a unique identifier? Don, do you see yours? Mike, do you see yours? And so forth. Everybody good? There's one roll of the drum, so to speak. If you're more into math, it's just simply randomly ordering a set. And it will then order all 78 applicants. We would then go to Dr. Connor's work there and say, okay, there's 30 seats. So the line would be drawn across at number 34. Those students would be admitted. Everybody south of that line would be on the wait list. And then Joe says, no, I just changed my mind. I'm not coming. He was number 13, so 13's out. So we then go down to number 35 and so forth. But we can tell you that the incoming class would be 34. Now, the question that a lot of, folks, myself included, are very interested in, what is the delta? So the last column there is up 7. When we look down the delta column there, the worst one on the list is 13. There's an 11 on there. We were trying to, that's the reason why we're using the adjustment factor. We're trying to, again, slow it down and not take it all in quarterly bites. This is 12.5% bites. So that we can eventually get everyone to where they need to be. It would go a lot quicker if we just said, okay, in the next 4 classes, we're gonna get there. But again, definitely disruptive. Some other schools, I mentioned there are a couple different methods. Some other schools just simply went to trend and stuck with trend. And so let's just do that. Well, what happens when you do that is it's essentially a snapshot in time. And regardless of Bellingham getting larger, smaller, or what have you, never changes. And so what we did, what this ultimately, this system allows us to do is that if Bellingham does get smaller, your seat allocation shrinks over time. If Bellingham is getting bigger, it will grow with you. So it responds dynamically to whatever is happening in the population in the town. And we think is the fairest way to designate, how many opportunities, if you will, that the students from your town should have at BVT. So in a nutshell, it's not exactly simple and straightforward. I know that. It only took us 4 or 5 months to find this, but we believe we've landed at the fairest possible way. However, I'll say this. So this is for this year in our admissions policy. We have to redo it every single year. And if anybody has ideas or thoughts or ways to build a better mousetrap, we're all ears, happy to hear it. Some of our towns want us to accelerate it. Some of them want us to slow it down more. I think you're going to get every opinion in between that you can think of. We were trying to do the best thing for all. It's interesting too what hat you have on. So sometimes if you're a financial planner, you have one point of view. If you're a citizen and you want Junior to go to BVT, probably have a different hat on. And you want your opportunities. Why is another town getting our seats? So we've tried to do the fairest thing given all points of view, if that makes sense. And I know that that's a lot to digest.
Yes.
Here's what I'll say in summary. Don't lock in on a number, whatever we just told you, +7. Joe, don't tattoo that on your hand. It's subject to change with this does bring us a lot more predictability, right? We know where we're going. We know within a kid or two that this is about where we're gonna be. We just can't promise you that a kid doesn't transfer in or transfer out, or you got sophomores and juniors that wind up entering in the school and things like that. They'll throw the total off. So we know we can get very close and be more predictable for you from a planning standpoint than we've ever been. Again, the minimum, we keep stressing that for that reason, that we at least know where our starting point is, and then, anticipate minimal change from it. And another thing to remember is that these changes, right? So we talked about October 1 numbers. All things that we do financially are based on last year's October 1 numbers. So our FY27 budget is based on the October 1 numbers that we just certified. That means that this lottery is happening now, it's happening in March, those kids will come in next year, but they're not going to affect the budget until FY 28. Okay, but nonetheless, wanting you to be well aware of, the mechanics of this, how it's working and so forth. I'm sure you have questions. No.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
There's a lot of math going on tonight, and I followed all along really well up until this last moment, but is there any, and I appreciate what you've shared, and as a school committee member, I have learned this system, and I'm happy that we have more of an equity than we did before. Do you have anything in these equations that come onto a hardship? Or a kid that really need to belong to a BBT that numerically is not gonna get in there because someone else randomly got their seat? Is there any of that factored into these numbers? Because we know we have students who just will thrive there, and we want to make sure that they get where they need to get to. Is that factored in?
I want to say this as pleasantly as I can.
And I actually appreciate, I know the answer, but.
Well, the answer is no. I
Yeah.
think you know where I was going with that, but I'm trying not to bring my personal bias to it. I'm trying to report factually to you, okay? So in the prior merit-based system, over time, we had turned down the grades. We didn't find that that was very important. What was important was attendance, that if you come to Valley Tech, please show up. And discipline, if you come to Valley Tech, the old saying goes, if you can't behave with a paper and pencil, well, why would you send them over to me so I can give them torches, power tools, knives, etc. Right? So that was important. And the most important thing in our prior system was our interview, because that's exactly what we were looking for, Jen. We wanted to find the kid who said, just tell us why you want to come. I'll give you the answer to the quiz right now. Just tell me why you want to come. And we're looking for a kid who really earnestly wanted to pursue some type of a trade. It spoke a lot, not only to interest, but it also helped us make sure that the students that were coming in, that we had spots for them. And I mean, in all of our 18 programs. One of the things that we're fearful of with the lottery is that it's just that, it's a gamble. Anything could happen. Everybody who applies, will have one ticket for just simply filling out the application. There are additional tickets in this, so you can get an additional draw, if you will, an extra lottery ticket for attendance. The bar for the attendance is that you have not missed more than 27 days out of the last 270 days. You get an extra bonus for attendance. And I can see Donna saying, why'd they come up with 27? Why not
10%.
10%?
Why? I just think you've got that many absences. That's a lot of absences.
Well, if you have 28, then legally you shouldn't be a freshman.
Yeah.
Because of the 90% rule, right? So they literally put that bar as low as it could go. On discipline, you get an extra ticket as long as you have not committed a felony in school as an 8th grader. So you can commit a felony, but you can't commit a felony in school. And if you do that, then you get an extra ticket for discipline. So I'd say they made that bar about as low as that could go, okay? Because if you commit a felony in school, it's a chapter 37H, it's a expulsion, okay? So as far as the things that you were asking us, no, these are some of the things we gave up. We lost the ability to ask a kid why they want to come. There were even challenges to some of the things that are common in charter schools and things like that. So for example, twin splitting, right? So there's a pretty common thing here that if your brother or your sister or whatever gets into this school, that they will also let the twin in because they didn't want mom or dad having to drive to 2 different directions or 2 different towns. There's none of that. It's been challenged, not happening. There have also been provisions, for example, if a staff member has a child and they have special consideration, no. No legacy, sorry, Mike. Did you have-
My kids are.
He got the first grandkid.
It sounds like the state took all the subjectivity out of the process. It said it's gonna be objective, it's gonna be a lottery.
Correct.
Because we cannot deal with all these variables.
Correct.
That come into play.
Now, some of the things we're worried about with that, we don't know that out of the 315 successful lottery applicants, the 310 of them don't want health services.
Yeah.
Okay, we were able to kind of sort that out a little bit with the interviews, but we can't do that. That's not good. Two schools, two Voc schools tried the lottery prior to it becoming mandated, and found some things that didn't work so well. Okay, one of them was that a lot of kids came, stayed, left before the end of their freshman year. Now, whether that's they didn't like their shop placement, maybe some theorized they didn't have a lot of skin in the game and just see if they get in, they got in, they went over, they checked it out. Nah, not for me, it went back. You name it. Hard to say exactly why that was happening. But we're concerned about that because when a kid comes over, first of all, they stay past October 1. Well, that gooses up our finances because now you're getting the bill for the kid, but the kid comes back to your school, right? And that happens, but that's not desirable. But more importantly, we really don't have an opportunity to replace that kid until sophomore year. So now I'm concerned that the kid now has a 3-year experience, not a 4, because we tied up some seats, but it was happening, 30, 40 kids in a class that in schools that tried this. So we're hoping that's not our experience. And then all of this was hopeful or intended purpose of being a fairer way to admit students to the school. And in those cases where it said this was tried, they actually went backwards in diversity in 2 out of 4 categories. Because again, the statistical draw, you're going to get a very fair distribution of whatever is in that sample. Okay, so you could become more or less of anything that depends on the applicant pool. So I hope I didn't convey any kind of personal like or dislike for this process. Our attitude is this: this is done. There is no point in commiserating over it. We're going to make the best that we can out of it. We've tried to approach it in the fairest way that we can. And we're going to try to make sure that, whatever we can do to make it successful, we're going to give it our best effort, right? So I'm hoping that we don't have some of the things that we saw in the other schools that tried it. You have the choice but to stay positive with this. So we will do our best. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Mr. Spencer, you good?
Yeah, I guess my only question is, you answered the other two I had, which are the wait list and the population changes, but let's say somebody goes through their freshman year and they say this isn't for me, how do you fill those sophomore seats?
Yeah, let Dr. Connors answer that.
So if you're familiar with BBT, the first 7 cycles of a freshman experience is exploring different vocational programs.
Mhm.
Usually around the middle of December, we'll place students permanently into their program of choice. So in that particular situation, if a child left after that placement, we would have a vacancy in a particular program. And we would theoretically need to match that up with a vacancy from that particular town.
Mhm.
So we would have to offer a particular seat in a particular program to a particular town to the next person on the wait list. And if they are interested, great, there's a match.
Yep.
If not, if they want electrical and electrical's full,
Too bad,
then
yeah.
too bad. There's nothing we can do there. So that process is not ideal.
Yeah, a little tricky.
Well, we're just gonna put the call out there. We're looking for a plumber from Bellingham
From the list,
for
yeah.
a sophomore position or junior,
Yeah.
but it could get a little funny, right? And then again, with the minimum. This is why, okay, we had to go to a different town to find the student who wanted that program. And that's going to make that town's number go up by one. And they said, whoa, you said +7. I got it tattooed on my hand right here. We said, no, minimum, because things like that can happen. Hopefully not much. Okay, everybody's happy and stays put.
One thing I will add to that is that your prior enrollment trend the following year would drop by one, so that number would change. The number of eighth graders would also change because we would drop off a year and gain a year, so the delta would change every year, so you can't marry yourself to the 7 or whatever that number is. It is going to change every single.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I was gonna go to you, Ann. Go ahead.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. Is there a possibility that a child starts off at freshman year and doesn't necessarily decide exactly where he wants to fit? Then would that child be in jeopardy of not being able to go on because of this lottery system?
No.
No, a child would come in the 9th grade and explore the 7 different programs and ultimately make a selection. We find about 80% of the students get their first choice shop. 95% get one of their top 3 choices. It's impossible for us to sprinkle the ice cube tray perfectly and have every shop fill up right on the number. So there are some students in their 4th, 5th choice shop that are waiting to get into one of the other shops if a seat opens up. So by that time, by December of their freshman year, any child would be given a program. And like I said, 80% of them would be in the program that they selected.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Well, you said this is already done, but I'm gonna give my input as an alumni and as that student who got into Knoxville Valley Tech because they were told they were not going to make it at Milford High. I don't like this process. I don't think it's fair. I am partially sitting here because of Mr. Bracebridge.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. B,
I do know
he instilled a lot into me that I still apply today. But it's done. Just if it ever gets back to the state, what are the alumni saying? You know, you got the alumni who's sitting here that does not like the process. But it's done. I'm glad I can see why they did it from the financial standpoint. But again, as somebody who's here, who's been there, I don't like it.
Well, the question there, Mr. Hennessy, is across the state.
Yeah.
If this doesn't go well, the question that I have is, will they reconsider it down the road? Okay.
Right.
Not a fan of gambling with kids and their experience, their education, their future. But I'm just saying, if for whatever reason this does not work out, I just hope that they're willing to revisit.
Now, Mr. Steele, you guys, I don't know if you need our support, but you were my English teacher.
And you're very well spoken.
Whatever you need from us, Mr. Steele.
I'm happy to answer any other questions you have about Valley Tech. We thought this was important again for you to know.
Thank you.
And certainly, Mr. Layden and others have a direct line, so anything that we can do for you to help you. Also remind you if you have any municipal projects, that's our favorite thing. So we've done a few lately, Town for the Sutton Highway Garage. We're working on a number of things out there.
Millville Police Department.
Millville always has something parked that needs repairs, but again, we do a lot of community projects, but the ones that we really prioritize are when our municipal partners, the IE towns, are looking for some help. So just keep us in mind for that. It's a good experience for us. If it's not a good job for us, we'll tell you. But if certainly we can help save some little dough that way, happy to do it. Okay.
I'm sure, but there's a lot of broken snow blowers out there. Small engine repair.
Yeah. How'd you know?
I don't know if you do it, but I tried calling a place that I usually go to and their voicemail was, we're about 2 weeks behind getting back to people on the phone, so you might try someplace else. That was their voicemail. So I'm like, hey.
Well, I thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think of the check.
You need a copy of that, we can send.
He's gonna email.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. All right, 7:30 at 7:45, we have, age and dementia-friendly needs assessment results.
Everybody.
Hello?
Thank you for having us. We are the three co-chairs. We are the three co-chairs of the Age and Dementia Friendly Task Force. And we're here this evening to give a brief synopsis of the responses from the from the needs assessment survey that was sent out. We were here a few months ago getting money for that, and 5,000 needs assessment surveys were sent out, and we received 24%, 23% back, which we thought was a pretty good number. And we were told by Dr. Coyle from UMass Boston Gerontology Department that it was a very good number. So we were proud of Bellingham, let me say that. We are here to give you some of the responses. The most, we picked out the top 4 that seemed to be the most popular, the most concerned about, we should say, and that was housing, transportation, affordability, and communication. Seemed to be taxes were thrown in there, but that was with the affordability. So we just want to give a little bit of what we have selected to present this evening. And the first is the background and the purpose. And the purpose, the needs assessment commissioned by the town of Bellingham to identify and plan the needs and interest of the Bellingham residents. It goes further with it. We have graphs that we're not going to go into because they're there and you can check those out. But the residents have been in town for a range of time, and most feel it's important to stay in Bellingham. If you look at the pie chart, you'll find that 50% of the residents in Bellingham now do want to stay in Bellingham. Hence, housing problem. It's projected by 2040, 2 years away, I understand, but nevertheless, 34% of Bellingham's population will be 60 plus, including 7% age 80 and older. That is the projected rate, an amazing number. The top concerns regarding the ability to age in Bellingham and the most common concerns are, as you would expect, cost of living, affordability, the lack of downsizing options, and maintaining independence, mobility, and access to transportation. Again, goes with the majority and the top concerns. Paying off mortgages were concerned. The need for senior housing and transportation was there. Housing.
Smaller and single family homes and senior independent housing are the most preferred in the future. Unfortunately, that should be similar to Depot Court and Rentham Manor. It's very difficult to get into. Just as an example, I just found out the other day, in the fall, we had 79 residents from Bellingham on the waiting list. We now have 140 something. So it's a need, it's been there for a while. And that's basically what we really need is more of those. The other problem we have with folks is as they get older, driving becomes an issue. Driving status changes with age. And it limits to people's driving ability when they go. One thing that we've asked, we haven't put on this list though, is how many seniors have missed a doctor's appointment because they didn't have a ride? Or they had to cancel at the last minute. And the way it is now to get a doctor's appointment, it's a question, are you gonna get at the doctor's appointment before the autopsy? Because it takes forever to get a doctor's appointment. And we need to be able to get these people to and from doctor's appointment. Right now, we're kind of limited to what we have. The senior center is doing a fabulous job with the bus crew that we have, but they're limited to time. Basically from 8 to 4. The drivers will go beyond that if necessary, but it creates issues. We need a different form of transportation and make it more usable for the seniors in town.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Yeah,
do the drivers stay with you at the doctor's appointments or do they drop? people
not
off?
always. They'll drop them off and come back and get them later.
With the exception of the long run, and
Yes.
that's the Boston trip. They take you, you'll stay.
So they go to Boston, Worcester, but-
They will stay, yeah. But for the most part, if it's a local, they'll drop them off and come back. Only 35% of the respondents get together and personal and with someone once a month or less, signaling the risk of social isolation, which also creates leading into dementia. And we're trying to, next is, which is the following factors limit how often you can attend, you attend the senior center. There's a lot of silly things. Everybody in this room is gonna get old, if you're lucky. So to pretend you don't want to be around old people, don't look in the mirror. Because it's gonna happen to everybody, and that's one of the leading things we hear. I want to be around old people, I'm not old. But I tell you, when you're 75, 80 years old, you're old, get over it.
Would you come talk? Because she's 86. And she,
You should
that's
not
my
violent
battle.
person.
She doesn't want to be around old people. She's 86.
So many people feel that way.
Believe me, I've heard it.
Yes.
I understand.
Or it's not what we want.
There are top 5 desired services in the future that they are looking to have at the senior center. The majority we have, we've looked to improve on many. And we always look for suggestions, so we don't just shut people out, shut them down and say, oh, we're busy, we've already got this. We're always open to suggestions. We have the users who give the suggestions. The kitchen is available. We have SNAP, we have all of these things, and we feel we're very lucky that we have the active and the great senior center that we have. The top desired programs in the future. We have many trips offered, and the non-users wanted day trips. We have them. We have many trips available. We have guest speakers. We have medical advice, and Josie again is always looking and willing to have a new speaker, have a new program. If it's something you want to do, we always say, just let us know what it is. We'll do it. So we really don't feel there's many excuses for not coming to the senior center. It is a bunch of elderly people, shall we say. but it's a very active place, so people should come and try it out. There's a lack of awareness about who can help. The question is, would you know who to contact in Bellingham if you needed someone in your family, if they needed help, if someone in your family needed help accessing social services? The percentage that responded said no. We were very surprised at that because we feel if you don't know who to call the senior center. They'll direct you. If you don't know there's a senior center, call the town hall, call the town clerk's office, there's any number of people that are going to be able to direct you. I'm sure if you even police department, they can help you.
I would just like to add one thing to this. The three of us are sitting here simply because somebody wanted to get a burner's permit from the fire department. And they had to go through the computer. It was an elderly person. They had no clue how to do it on the computer. And that's about 2 out of 3 sitting at this table. That's how we started this committee and trying to make it easier for people.
So we have communication.
Communication, yes. It's interesting to me how communication runs through almost everything in the government. And one of the things that I did was look around at some other council on agings and ask them what they did about what we're talking about here. And for me, it was specifically communications. And in case you'd like to know, I've got like 4 or 5 specific things that their committees, like ours, did and got accomplished. And one of them is a senior center resource guide. You know, we just talked about, okay, who do I call? The police? Do I call the fire department? Do I try the town manager? What do I do? So we could put together a senior center resource guide. There was also an age-friendly, this was Chelmsford, telemedia show where periodically someone from the age-friendly community would get on with the cable TV or something. And very happy to report that ABMI 8 channel is ready for us to do the same thing. Good. So we can figure out what we want to say. It needs to be meaningful. It can't just be some blather about how, we're helping old people. Did I say blather? I did. They did a pop-up library. It was a specially equipped vehicle that provided library services at various town locations. So that might be happening with our library now, but we communicate, we talk about it. If we can help, we help. The Chelmsford Police Department launched a newly designed website that provides links to town services and information. So there's a lot that goes on. It includes every department, I think, in the town. And so one of our jobs in this communications domain is to make sure that we get the word out to everybody. Town people, citizens, whatever. Oh. And I think that's so much for communications.
One of the other things we're looking into is expanding the visibility of the senior center and how it can help advance age and dementia friendly Bellingham. Some of it is a little unrealistic at the present time. Reimagine the senior center as a weekend hub for connection wellness. It was staff, it's going to take a little bit of money, these are the things we're going to work on. But one of the things that they also say pilot a tested evening and exercise program. Right now, with it getting dark, so this would be a great thing maybe in June or July when the days are longer. But with so many seniors afraid to drive at night, opening up at nighttime really doesn't seem to help a lot. But one of the things they really recommend is formally appoint an age and dementia task force, which basically is for the police and fire department to get to know who, and they may already have something going on like this, but where the dementia people are, because you go to a fire call or a police call, you don't know who's going to be on the side of that door in most cases. And you may see somebody thinking everything's safe, but this dementia person is inside, doesn't know what's going on or what to do. So to have them come up with a plan, not that I want to add on to their duties, but just so that they know who's who.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, I think it's a wonderful idea, but I wonder how you'll be able to identify an individual that may have dementia, because just in personal experience and family members, you believe that this older person in my family has dementia. I don't have dementia. I don't have, there's this, so I don't know how, without breaking HIPAA laws, like from doctors, how would they know if there was someone living in that residence that actually is borderline dementia, or there, if the police or fire weren't aware beforehand? How do they become aware?
Communicate. That's where.
No, I know that, but who communicates it? And I'm not challenging you. I'm just
No, I
wondering
don't
if the
mind.
group, I'm just wondering if the group that had this idea, if they had thoughts on how to make our personnel or safety personnel aware that there's
I
someone.
think there's a dispatch system, if I'm not mistaken, Chief Fitz or Miller.
Is there?
That can label what, any type of significant medical issues.
Someone has to tell us
That's what I
something,
mean.
or we have to go somewhere and make some
Make a note of it.
observations and then
Yeah.
fly.
Well, that's where I'm
It's
coming
doable.
Is that doable in township?
It's doable, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
When my wife was very sick, I made sure people knew
Yeah,
that this was, it's a violation of HIPAA if you know something about my wife and you blab it.
oh, yeah.
But if I go out and say to the fire chief, look, my wife is having this, this, and this, and this is gonna happen, that's not a violation of HIPAA.
No,
So I think we.
I understand.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
can do it,
curious.
so.
I agree.
Can I interrupt? Josie is chatting with me right now, and you mentioned piloting evening programs. She said that beginning in April, you guys, the senior center will be open on Thursday evenings for, the pool room will be open, yoga, speakers, book clubs, etc.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful.
It is a good thing,
Yeah.
because we have so many that, are still working. And that's the common, we're still working, people have to come too, but, so evening is going to work.
The other thing we have is caregiving is common. But we don't have support for the caregivers. If you were taking care of the very sick spouse of anybody in your house, or somebody with serious dementia, that is time consuming, it's exhausting. Where do you get a break? My feeling is at some point we need some kind of a system where people can go. When my wife was very sick, I had 5 hours a week through services that I could go and put my feet up. And those are the best 5 hours of the week I had. And this is something which we're gonna look into for caregivers in Bellingham, because it's very difficult to keep up with the pace and to keep control of yourself. I mean, after dealing with somebody fighting with you or being very difficult, it wears you out quick.
So are you looking to do like a caregiver support network, like at the senior center?
Something along those lines. These are the overlay of what we planned. The details we're gonna be working out. But I think that's one of the details that people need is some sort of relief. If you're dealing with somebody that's seriously in need.
Something that's very, we're still working on some seniors that are not out of the house since COVID. We were very isolated and some are still not, as readily coming out. Residents can benefit from opportunities to connect in person. We are aware and we are hoping that we can get them to the senior center. We have many recommendations, and we're going to be sharing those at a task force meeting and looking for some.
I have an idea, just an idea. what you're talking about, communication, I wrote down like increase awareness. There's a lot of folks in town that don't know what the senior center has to offer for services. And I'm technically a senior now. And I was thinking, you know, I don't go there because I don't need the support. We should go there just to say hi and all that stuff. But what if you were to put together some sort of a flyer to folks that are eligible? Like, you know, you get a mailer from ARP. I know there's costs associated, but what if you were able to identify those folks in town and sent out mailers or through a newsletter that you put together to make them aware of the services that are available? Like you said earlier, a lot of people aren't computer savvy, so they may not be familiar with Facebook and Instagram and other social media platforms, but they still get their mail. Folks older like to get their mail. I mean, I can just say my mother-in-law, where's my mail? Bring me my mail. I mean, that was a big deal. Facebook, forget it. But I'm just saying, if you had like maybe a flyer that you sent out in senior center and hours, things that are available, phone numbers, et cetera, just a thought that might help increase. You may have done this already. I've never seen a piece, but you might do something along those lines.
Well, I think that works with, it goes back to the,
Communication.
we're talking about.
Well, like a
David.
resource guide.
Yeah,
The resource
yeah,
guide.
yeah, I was just thinking something like a mail or just a one pager.
Sure.
And if they want the resource guide, they could call, then you could mail them the resource guide.
There is something like that.
Yeah.
I get from my mother and father who used to live at my house. We get a council on aging thing for my mother still, and it has about
Yeah.
the senior center and stuff. Am I correct? Right? That's something that does come out.
Yeah,
Yes, it
every
is.
month.
Yeah, every month. Yeah. I was gonna say.
If they were a member, if they were signed up. But
Yeah,
I'm
so I
thinking
guess
of
maybe.
reaching out to the folks that aren't on the list.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So Josie's mentioning right now that as people turn 60, she's sending out invitations to come and join us and so that they can be aware of what's happening. So we're starting a little earlier on the front end of things, so they're aware of it. She just mentioned that about sending invitations and sharing the resources there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you know, in the Bellingham Bulletin every month lists all of the activities going on in the senior center also, and that's mailed to every single house. So I think that the senior center has done an awesome job at getting information out. You can always you never have enough information out, but they've really gone, I think, above and beyond to get as much out as they can. And where the bulletin goes into the house every month and has one huge section that's just on what's going on at the senior center, same with, you know, what's going on with the veterans. And I think that's very good. But I do agree, the guide, I think, would be very, very helpful to many, many people.
Definitely.
Well, we can definitely work on that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, we talked about it earlier, the resistance from people who are like 55 years old. And they don't want to hear about this because this is stuff for old people. And they probably have parents who fit that description.
Well, they do. Yeah.
So maybe we need to figure out a more attractive way to present it too. We might be able to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why the needs assessment survey was sent to the 55-year-olds, because they have parents now who would qualify for our senior center. So, and perhaps need some of the services that the senior center provides. So go ahead.
Well, this is kind of a joke, but I'll just say this. I went to Dancing with the Stars on Friday night or Saturday night with my wife and daughter as a Christmas present to them. 80% of the folks that were there were women 65 and older. So there you go. There's a way to get them there.
Dancing girls.
Or men.
Or men, yeah.
Yeah, ballroom dancing, you know?
So maintaining independence is a major, major concern. The safety, whether driving, walking, or biking, is the key. Transportation, as you know, and we know, and I'm sure you all know, is a major problem. And we are going to have a task force meeting, and we're hoping to get we will be getting a committee to look into the transportation, hoping to make this very possible, because it is so necessary for them to maintain independence, and the seniors need to have their independence. How do how do they continue without that? I would imagine.
But what's, to me, what's important around places like Depot Court and Rentham Manor, keeping the sidewalks up. Because the sidewalk from Rentham Manor to the fire station is terrible. And you got people on walkers, canes, wheelchairs. It's very dangerous.
The person to talk to right there, Mr. Fitz.
So,
Understood.
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, we understand that. It's a big challenge in the town.
But it's not just there, but it could be any place.
Anywhere.
I'm not picking on them or pointing out. It's just, this is
I've-
a concern.
I've walked it.
Yeah.
It is a concern.
True.
Yeah.
The homeowners and renters need support to address concerns about housing options and maintenance. Maintenance seems to be a big concern with many of our homeowners. ADUs are, I think, a great idea. Are they always possible? Again, there's a strict codes, I understand, on the in order to have an ADU, but worth looking into, it means to an end, perhaps. Near and dear our heart, of course, is housing. We've been working on this for a couple of years and hoping to see some things happen. And tax relief, those are the big concerns, as we said before.
Okay, expanding education and support to strengthen civic engagement and address rise in older worker employment. And we have, by the way, complete copies over here on the table of this summary. So if, in case you don't have your binoculars and can't read, you can do that. But the one that struck me is the third one down here in this expanding education and support, about learning more about age-friendly business programs could be useful in developing ways to engage residents and businesses in making Bellingham more age-friendly. As we like to say, making Bellingham a place you want to grow up and grow old in. And then facilitating connection and information are both areas for intervention. And it seems like there's a bunch of good stuff here. Create a resource guide. I mean, we talked about that. And I think that's something that we probably want to really get after. It would be available in print and also online, outlining answers to frequently asked questions, how to get help from the town and the senior center. How about this one? Tap into the talents of high school students. They can write articles about loaves and fish's role in addressing food insecurity. We might consider increasing communication with and input from seniors by holding a monthly town meeting at the senior center to share what's going on in town government. Or maybe we start it as a quarterly thing and then move it to monthly or whatever, but examine. And I like to connect the age and dementia friendly task force, which Kay mentioned earlier, to other committees and endeavors to serve as liaisons for Bellingham friendly efforts. So we got our work cut out for us. And I think, oh, here's where we go to the.
But I think we piqued
Thank
some
you.
interest because all of a sudden I keep hearing, wait, you might try this or you might try that. This might be a good idea. We're making progress just sitting here.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I really think would benefit you is the engagement we have by the different department heads in town. You know, most importantly, you know, Josie, who's awesome. The two guys in the back, Chief Fitzgerald, Chief Miller, I think they're very community oriented. Jesse, you know, I know he gets the brunt end of it with the roads and the streets and the snowbanks lately. But I think you can definitely accomplish a lot of what you're looking to do, you know, by doing what you're doing now, by coming to our meetings. You are always welcome, as you know, to come here and talk to us if you have any concerns with anything. But also, I know every department head in this town, including Joe, their door is open for any type of feedback you guys have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you all.
Absolutely, thank
Thank you
you.
for the time.
Thank you, John.
You bet.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like to just add, we also have our town planner, and we talked, since we spoke, more than a year ago. Just to talk about senior housing. I mean, there's been a lot of work put on that side, like Center Street, and there's another proposal. We're making progress. You made me aware. We'll wait to Rob and a lot of stuff, and now Joe, a lot of things are happening on that front, because you're absolutely right. People can't afford to maintain their homes. They don't want to lose them. But they want something new and something safe, getting in and out of the shower, like you said. I mean, those are things they need to have.
So this gets back to communicating. I'm sorry, just to jump on Jim's point.
Yeah.
That there's progress that we can talk about and say, we're actually seeing movement here.
That
Instead of just talking.
started over a cup of coffee he and I had at the senior center more than a year ago.
I can tell you from knowledge, I'm sure there's quite a few veterans that go to the senior center. Each VA medical center, it's called the HISA grant. If your bathroom is not accessible and you're a senior, the VA can give you money, a one-time payment to make your bathroom
That's
accessible.
good to know.
So you can talk to Art about that.
Yeah.
Or you can reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I can help you with that. They can put handles, they can change your shower from a tub that you step over to a single walk-in. And you can get the shower chair.
That's if you're a veteran,
If
correct?
you have to be a veteran, not just for anybody, but you have to be a veteran. It's called a HISA grant. Yeah.
This is exactly what we're trying to do, is
Yeah.
identify, here's a bathroom fix. We know where we can get money. We just need
Yeah.
to get it
You
together,
know,
We just need to know where to go.
where to go.
that's great.
You guys have been very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
The what is for the multiple utility program, just continuing on like that senior, just take them first,
While they're here.
because then it's,
Yeah.
while the seniors are here.
Yeah, so that's 46 people.
Oh, exhibition.
You want them to hang out?
Yeah, seniors. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You hear that?
We need you to hang around for the next presentation. That's my special. The next presentation might help. The next presentation might help. A little bit.
It might be pertinent to you, Ms. Fitz, if you want to sit down on this.
Maybe every few minutes, we around.
I told you how my day was going, Joe.
Good thing it wasn't recorded.
What's that?
Good thing that wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that what?
Is that what's going on now?
We're jumping you up so we can have the senior initiative.
Okay.
Born ready.
All right.
Not to put you on the spot, Rob, or anything.
That's okay. I'm used to it. So good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Um,
Do we need Dawn here?
I can wait.
Okay. Sorry. Somebody's ringing.
I feel like something to tell a story or share a, how was your day? Good.
My day? You don't want to know about my day.
I'm just trying to fill time.
Where is them?
Okay, except that.
I think you said don't bring it.
You saw me come up and say,
See you. Come on. They get darker in here. I need you to walk and see if we can take it. Yeah.
it's that dark cloud that I brought.
So that's later, Rob. Uh-oh. You're here all night long, just waiting for this.
Oh, here all night. All day, all night.
You should go to open mic night for comedy or something. Like the Rodney Dangerfield of town planners.
Honestly, there are a few people in this room that will agree with you on that.
All right, I think we're good, Rob.
All right. So I'm just pulling up the plan, which this should look familiar. So I know the last time we discussed the project, which by the way, David Klein with Globuster Companies is here with me, but I know the last time we discussed, there was a brief overview of this project and getting a feeling for if the select board was interested, because with the way that this project works, there's no permitting path per our zoning, so this would have to be a friendly 40B project through the state. Which sounded like there was a lot of support for this. There is a need for affordable housing, as the last presentation was just stating. So there's been some work that's been done since the last project. Since the last meeting. We have a consultant that deals with our inclusionary housing monitoring and review of the applications as well. That's Liz Rush. She's been involved in this process with us. We've been working hand in hand with Wobesser to try and get this project moving, which I don't know, David, if you wanted to give just a brief update of how things have changed.
Yeah, no, on our end, I'm David Pine. I work for Kevin. Kevin apologizes. He did a different meeting. Often we, split it up. So I'm at the hopefully funner one tonight. So since our last meeting, we have kind of, redefined the plans a little bit, kind of tightened a few things up, got them to the point we are ready to submit. There's one plan on there that we selected the affordable units. We had a great meeting with the state that kind of reviews all the applications and kind of showed them like what we were thinking and just got some initial feedback. They were very excited about it. So they were like, get it in as soon as you can. The process timeline matches that of like a kind of mass housing. So, we want to get this submitted in probably, if not next week, the week after. It will be like 60 to 90 days, and then we would start kind of hearings after that. So if there's any questions, I'm here to, kind of answer them, but yeah, that's where we are.
I have one comment.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard about my one request with this project.
No, what is it?
Uh-oh. It needs to be called Hastings Way.
Hastings Way, okay.
For the folks that are here that don't know about this project, could you just provide a high-level overview?
Of course.
Especially for the folks that were representing the senior center and the age-friendly dementia meeting. I think they'd love to hear what your plans are.
Yes, no, I feel like hopefully we'll have another meeting in the hallway after this, if you guys like it. So our plan is 58, 55 plus age restricted senior housing units. Each unit is going to be one bedroom, approximately 700 to 800 square feet. It's one assigned parking. There'll be a community space right in the middle of the project. 25% will be affordable at 80% AMI. We're hoping that we can get some other kind of vouchers to make it even more affordable in that 25%. And it's going to be local preference and have veterans preference that is from the state. So we've been working with the towns, been fantastic and very supportive of it. It's a very kind of innovative project, and I think what we're hoping to do is kind of solve that missing middle for seniors, right? It's not this like some kind of crazy luxury thing, but it's not like something where you need to be on kind of help from the state. So that's kind of the overview of the project.
How many units?
58.
58, wow.
Yep.
And that's in that little piece between Center Street and,
No, this is Depot Street.
No, this is
Right near
Depot.
Depot Court.
oh, I'm sorry.
If you're looking at Depot Court to the right,
Yes.
just if you're out on the front of it, to the right of that, there's a piece of land. It's a house that sits in the back. It's right there next to Depot Court.
Okay.
And how many affordable housing?
It would be 25%, so it'd be 15. And then if you see the site plan there, they're in little clusters, but they're attached. So yeah, it ranges from I believe 6 to 3. But yeah, 6 to 3.
Do you need a vote of support from us or? Oh, sorry, Ms. Otabashin, you got something?
Yeah, it's all one floor, is that correct?
Yes, correct. One floor living. Yep.
Okay.
There was an architectural plan, right?
Yeah, no, I gave a rendering of one of the kind of buildings, what it look like, and then there's community center, which is new. We have that rendering we want to show the state as well. So
Do you just need a vote of support from us or?
Right, so one of the things I recommend for the board is a motion that authorizes the town administrator on behalf of the select board to write a letter of support for this local initiative program application.
So moved.
Second.
And to sign the application.
All right.
And that's, I just pulled up the preliminary rendering of I guess that's a triplex.
Oh, I think that might be the.
No, that's,
Oh, no, this is.
or it's
Can you blow that up so everybody can?
I suppose. This is really hard to do without a mouse. I'm
Can
gonna.
you guys see that okay? Okay.
Can we grab you the mouse?
That's okay, I can go grab it. You should hold down.
So you're looking at 3 entrances, 1, 2, 3. That's the back, that's the front to the right. And then your side views, right?
Oh, the first.
Should be the one
The
with the 4
layout.
unit.
Technically, yeah, there's so you see the units.
So that's a 4-unit building.
Yes.
Yep. Not a-
I'll call it.
Nice.
And when you say affordable, what, have any idea what the listing price would be for the affordable and the non-affordable?
Yeah, so for the affordable, like it's a percentage, it will be kind of 80% AMI is where we kind of start with these things. I believe on Bellingham, that's approximately 2,000, depending on how it's like accounting calculated, $2,000. Our hope is that we're gonna get like some more kind of PVVs, different funding sources that could bring that down. I've had some great meetings, good conversations with Ed Pelletier. So the one we're shooting for are project-based vouchers, so it would be attached to that specific unit, and then it would like in perpetuity, and then be able to kind of bring that kind of down. You pay a much lower percentage depending on what the state kind of grants you. So that's our
That's
kind of
rental.
rental. Yes, it's all rental
This is
too.
all rental.
Yes, our.
And the rent is how much?
So the affordable ones are gonna start at 80% AMI, which is about kind of 2,000, but our hope is we're gonna get kind of project-based vouchers that would bring that down to. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but it will be hopefully a lot lower, but that kind of depends on the state, what the state will give us.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there's not many seniors who are gonna afford $2,000 a month.
Right.
Right, right. So our hope is to try to kind of get the PBVs and kind of different funding sources with all the support, not just from the housing authority, but kind of any kind of where we can get it. We had great meetings with the housing secretary on kind of different grants that are possible. So, and that's not just something that we'll know in 5 or 6 months. It's something we can do kind of after it's built, the years that go. So it's going to be kind of an ongoing thing to try to get as many kind of vouchers or grants that we can attach to this, so.
So we have a motion on the floor to authorize the town administrator to sign.
The application.
The application.
Draft the letter of support.
Draft letter of support, roll call.
Cody, aye.
Jen, I.
Don, aye.
And I,
5-0.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ron.
Great, thank you. All right, Jesse.
Speaking of Center Street.
Yeah. This is going on a little bit of long meeting. Take a 5-minute.
I don't need break, but.
Oh, I do. Here's what that.
Okay.
I just did, but I had to.
By the way.
Guys recovered? Have you guys recovered?
Fine recovery.
At least we didn't get hit again on
Oh,
Sunday.
my goodness, that was such a blessing.
Yeah, I had
When I
the,
saw that going out, like.
Yeah, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I had a roofing company come in and shovel my roof off. It's like, if we're getting another foot of snow, I want that cleared.
Doing the same thing, I'm up there, getting it all down, like, wow, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, today was nice. Helping them melt down a little bit at least, and just
Yeah.
watch it make room everywhere else.
It's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Yeah.
You get a foot and a half of snow in some city. Yeah, when you get the woman train, it was like a summer day at 35 degrees. All right, so
All right. So the first item that I have here is actually on the snow note. A formality to vote to authorize to deficit spend from the snow and ice budget. So this year we appropriated a sum of $283,000. Prior to this last event, we were about 85% of the way spent. factoring in the salt order, the vendors, DPW time, we're looking at, moving into the deficit, so we're looking for authorization to do so.
I make a motion pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D. I move to authorize the DPW Director on behalf of the town to overspend the FY 26 snow and ice account.
I have a question before we, if I can. And I apologize for that. How do we prevent this? What can we, is there anything we can do on, I know you can't predict the snow or anything else. Are we pre-buying anything? Is there anything that we can do to set ourselves up to minimize this for next year? And I'm sorry, if you're not supposed to, I get that, but.
So this is one of the fun things in budgeting in Massachusetts. So by budgeting in anticipation of these storms, it actually gives us less budgetary flexibility. So towns will usually, in a light, like we've had for the last number of years, 3 years,
And that's what I was
have
going
light
with,
years.
because this is the first year we're actually seeing it.
Right, exactly. So, snow and ice is the one budget where you can deficit spend with authorization from the select board. We then pay for that out of free cash, which free cash is generated from excess revenues that because we budget conservatively, as well as money that we didn't spend. So, here it's something that we would be balancing additional budgetary priorities if we were required to stay within a budget. So here, you never know. And that's the hard thing, especially over the last, really looking at 10 years, where 10 years ago, this was February,
We did this all the time.
January, February, and March. It just slammed us. And then a couple years later, it was really like minimal, or at least we were right up. And some, my last town for 3 straight years, we turned money back, and we didn't have much of a snow and ice budget because you just didn't have the storms. And here, this is welcome to New England, reminds us that we do get snow, get cold weather, and in some ways, this has been a little bit more frigid, where we've had to use the salt, road salt, a lot more because we've had some of these really cold, freezing events compared to just snow. It would be better if we were plowing rather than sort of laying out that.
And I just had to ask because I know we're going into budget season.
Yeah.
We're getting tight. If I don't ask the questions for my own comfort, I just need to have that answer so I can vote appropriately. So I appreciate the response, and I appreciate that they did a great job with the roads. We got our, everyone out safe and sound, and so I appreciate all the hard work that went behind it, so. And thank you for your response.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Second.
All right.
Cody, aye.
Jen, I.
Don, I.
Yeah,
And I,
5-0.
Excellent, thank you. Continuing on, up next, we have, snow operations, our mailbox policy. What we have in front of us is a modification to the current $40 reimbursement maximum threshold for mailbox damages, to look to increase that to a maximum of $60. With doing so, we had looked at several surrounding communities to see how Bellingham compared. And what we found was we were a little below what other communities are offering. On that note, many of the other towns, when they did have the information, like Bellingham, they were approved many years ago. So they were quite outdated. I actually did a little bit of research in the meantime, for comparisons for local suppliers of mailboxes. Just to purchase a mailbox and post their cheapest assembly, no labor included, about $55 before tax. So this increase to $60 would put us in line with essentially the cheapest mailbox that I could find at search.
Yeah, and I just remember the days when we did it for free. And Mr. Martino came in and said, "Hey, we have to do something. We just can't afford to continue doing free mailboxes." So that's when we put the policy in for 40, but that was at the time, that was consistent with what mailboxes cost. Now it's more. That's been going back, how many years we institute that policy? 5 or 6 years or more.
Mr.
Martino was here, so when we did it.
December 21st, 2015.
Yeah, I remember that, because that was a really tough winter. That was that 215.
Yes.
The 216 was a really, really difficult one. But, yeah.
On average, how many do we replace?
That's gonna be my question.
Great question. So in 2023, 0. 2024, we spent $160, and in 2025, $360. So it does vary, but in total, right, under a dozen a year.
Well, we also, the last 2 winters, we really haven't had much of a winter.
Right.
Right, go back to 2015, I bet we did 100 mailboxes.
So move Jen.
Second,
And yes,
Cody, I.
Jen, I.
Don,
I don't,
and I,
gotcha, Ian.
okay.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Up next, we have in front of you a potential intermunicipal agreement between the town of Bellingham and the town of Milford for the purchase of water. To give a little bit of the backstory on this, we were approached by now the town of Milford, previously it was the Milford Water Company, to purchase water from Bellingham on an emergency basis. They're currently below what they would anticipate this time of the year. To my knowledge, it's about 25% lower than where they should be. They've actually gotten to the point where they've had to terminate some of the water to some of their customers on the industrial side. So they've reached to Bellingham during our low demand season to see if this was a possibility. I did a little bit of research on this. Back in 2018, we did have an intermunicipal agreement with Milford. At that time, it was actually going the other way. So we were purchasing the water from them. It's fitting now to be able to, potentially explore returning the favor to a neighboring community in their time of need.
So you just need just a motion to,
Execute the agreement, pending any final, edits and comments from DEP, that are non-substantive in nature.
what's the termination of it? Is this a 1-year agreement?
Yep, that's a great question. This is a 1-year agreement. There is language that would give us the ability to extend to a minor degree. I believe it spells out 6-month intervals. But yes, the intent of this actually could be found under item number 9, 1 year.
I see it right there. And if this agreement were to be extended, does it have to come back before the board for the extension, or do you have the authorization to extend it? It should come back before the board.
It does. There's, with said extension executed in writing by the select board of each party.
Okay, thank you. I didn't read the whole thing, so.
Thank you.
do I have a motion to?
I just have a question. Obviously, we end up in a water ban every year. Is this gonna put more of a strain on that? Cause obviously residents get very frustrated with that
Yes.
every year.
Yeah.
So that's just my only question.
Great question, and I'm happy that you brought it forward, because in this agreement, we do spell out that we actually put the specific limits throughout our higher demand season, which kicks off in April. Pending how much water we have available, we have the ability to limit the withdrawal on a daily limit, weekly limit, whatever that might look like. But yes, absolutely, our anticipation is during the high demand season, we do not anticipate selling water to Milford because we won't have the ability to spare it at that time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Milford?
So move.
Second.
Cody?
Cody, I.
Jen, I.
Don,
And I,
I vote.
Excellent, thank you.
Jeff.
All right, do we have a vote on the?
The next one was just abatements. These aren't any resident request ones. These are just clerical error and spelling errors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All been fixed and remediated, I presume, or correct, yeah, okay.
You just need a motion to move to approve the
Yes.
November 20, move to approve the November 2025 abatement summary.
You have to put the amount in.
The grand total there, $9,677.82.
Okay. Second.
All right, Cody?
Cody, I.
Jen, I.
Don,
And I,
5-0.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The land donation for 60 Fremont Street.
Did you see this memo from Betsy? Okay, do you have any questions? So this is a parcel of land across the street from a house that was sold. The land wasn't sold with the house. It's mostly wetlands. The homeowner has expressed that they do not want the land anymore. They're gonna stop paying taxes on it. They've tried to sell it to neighboring houses. No one wants it, so.
All right, do I have a vote to accept the parcel on Freeman Street, known as map 94-73?
So moved.
Second, Jen,
All right, Cody.
Cody, aye.
Jen, I.
Don, I.
and I,
5-0. We have a vote on the meeting minutes for January 12th.
Move to approve the minutes from January 12th meeting.
Second, Jen,
Cody.
Cody, aye.
Jen, I.
Don, I.
and I.
5-0. Anything for old business? All right. Joe, the floor is yours.
Okay, and I'm gonna head over to this table and join the finance team.
So that's why everybody's here.
Exactly.
Love we have a team, great.
So, and we're gonna be swapping off with also the school department as well through the middle of this presentation. So let me just get this up to share. Okay. So thanks for select board now on the management side, but then also in close working with the school department. Wanted to at least give an initial presentation of where we are with FY27 budget. So just to sort of go over what we're going to talk about tonight, talking about how the process all started with the select board giving the FY27 policy statement. Also just introducing a little bit of information from Massachusetts Municipal Association's Perfect Storm. We are not alone. This is not a financial situation that Bellingham is alone in. And some of this is also influenced by the state, and we'll just cover a little bit under that. Then we'll go into on a high level revenue, then our expenses, looking at the initial budget totals. School district will come in and just give an overview of their preliminary budget. They've been meeting with the school committee for the last 2 meetings, talking about their budget process. We'll just give an overview of additional factors that are impacting the 27 budget, go over enterprise accounts, and then also that this budget also left off other needs that departments have talked with myself and Heidi about, talk about future opportunities, and then next steps. So just to reiterate, for everyone, the select board in putting out the policy statement basically identified the following theme. With increasing costs of goods and services, the potential for stagnant or decreasing state aid and potential economic impacts due to uncertainty on the federal level, we're asking departments to prepare a level service budget. Also, this budget is going to really reflect that school and municipal collective bargaining agreements are now in place. They were basically in place before FY26 started. I'm sorry, before FY26 started. So they're being felt now within FY27 coming forward. And that we've also seen increased costs, but that the town has taken some action, such as agreement with the town and school municipal collective bargaining units and retirees on plan design changes to reduce costs for the town for FY27. MMA back in October produced a report called The Perfect Storm, and basically identifying that towns and cities are facing historic fiscal pressures, specifically associated with rising costs, sluggish state aid, the limit of 2.5% cap on property tax increases, And also that budget pressures are felt differently between rural, urban, and suburban towns. So looking at the last 12 years, while the Massachusetts state budget has grown by 2.8 across the US, cities and towns by 1 on an annual basis, Massachusetts cities and towns have only grown by 0.6%. When looking at how the state compares to the country as far as contributing revenue to local government, you can see we're down in the lower third of the country. And then also the amount of aid that goes to suburban towns such as Bellingham on a cost per student basis is also significantly less than some of our more urban communities in Massachusetts. So now I'm going to have Heidi, our Chief Financial Officer, just go over revenue and expenses.
So this slide is our revenue trend slide. You take, for the FY 27 budget, you start with the ending balance in FY 26 for the levy limit. So you'll see I took the $59,612,088 on FY 27. Then you add 2.5% to that along with new growth to get your new levy limit of $61,552,390. Then you take your water debt exclusion to give you your maximum allowable levy of $62,522,390. Along with that, we take our local receipts, our state aid. I'm recommending we take $250,000 from the pension reserve fund this year. And then we also have receipts reserved for Title V and indirect costs from the enterprise funds for a total operating revenue of $84,546,004. This is our state aid slide, and what I think is important here is to notice it does look like you've received a little bit of an increase on the education for Chapter 7D and the charter tuition reimbursement, but when we go to the next page that shows the assessments that are charged, those have also increased. And if you're looking at the state aid under unrestricted general government aid, you'll notice it's very little change over the last 4 years. So the community's gotten very little money from the state on that. So our total estimated receipts for FY 27 will be $14,270,822. This next slide is the state assessments. And this is where if you go to the bottom, you'll see the tuition. And you can see the school choice sending tuition has gone up along with the charter school sending tuition. That those two numbers have increased. So you might have saw money on what we're receiving, but it's kind of like they're taking it away. So we have net assessments of $5,242,497. This slide is our expenditure slide, reflects all the departments submitting level funded budgets consistent with the select board's direction. Joe and myself have met with most of the department heads to review their budgets, and where appropriate, we reduced them or eliminated proposed increases. I think it's also, I want to note that this slide includes a $1.4 million increase to the school's budget. That's what we gave them last year. And then on the bottom of the page, you have other amounts to be raised, like your overlay, the cherry sheet charges of what we just went over, to give us a total operating expenses of $85,505,436. And this is just a summary of what we just went over. All the revenues total $84,546,004. All the expenditures total $85,505,436, leaving us with a projected FY 27 deficit of $959,432.
So, as Heidi said, we're looking at just under $1 million shortfall. That's with maintaining the contribution to the school department of 1.4. On this slide, just looking at the expenditure, looking at town and school, it does give the impression that it's pretty much almost a 50-50 split. However, there are things such as health insurance, workers' comp, unemployment that are all on the town side. And as an example, health insurance is almost a 70-30, where 70% of the health insurance is on the school side, 30% on the town side, but the full cost is borne on the town side. So this division, as far as like a 50-50, we are intermingled as one town. The HR payroll department, finance department do support and work very closely with the school department. And again, many of our benefits, insurance policies are also funded on the town side. So just wanted to point that out, especially when we're looking at the expenditure side. So with that, we're going to swap seats, and the school department is going to come up and take over for the next few slides.
Good evening. Hello. Hi, everybody. So I'll just give you a high level review of where our budget is and where we're coming in. So I'll start with projected contractual salary increases. So you can see in this slide, in this table, looking at the increases for our two unions, the BPA and the AFSCME, and our Singleton unit, our increase in salaries is about 1.3 million. Those are negotiated contracts, done fairly through the process with the school committee and the bargaining teams. So that's the increase in our salaries for FY 27. This page is our projected operational increases, so the operating budget. You can see that they have gone up. Last year we did make some significant cuts to balance our budget. So the principals in the schools have tried to reestablish those lines to bring the funding back to those line items. I'm sorry. And then on the next page, these are our departments. You'll see specifically in special education and transportation, those are some huge increases. So our operating budget appears to be going up about 2.1 million. So our grand total is just about $3.5 million in increases. So just to note, in special education, that is our programs in district, but it's also out of district programming. And we had this past year, from July to December, we had 49 new IEPs, students who need an IEP. 43 of them were move-ins. So these are students that moved into Bellingham, currently on an IEP. So we needed to honor those. We also had 5 new out-of-district placements. Some of them were our students, some of them were students who were moving in. So that is going to reflect that increase. And then the other big increase is transportation. So to dig into that a little bit, our in-district transportation via Vendetti is going up about 280,000. The rest of it is coming from special ed transportation out of district. That went up significantly. We have no real recourse with that. These companies can increase their cost pretty much whatever they want. And we have some students that it costs us $600 a day, $900 a day to transport these students. So depending on their need.
Is there anything we can get from the state to offset that?
Nope. There's we do get some from circuit breaker. I don't know what it'll be next year because the governor hasn't completed the budget. So it could be, they want to fully fund it, but it's not going to be. Okay, so we're looking at a $3.5 million increase based on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Contractual increases and projected operational increases. Now, is there some room to trim that? Yes, but not significantly. We have to dig in and see where we can make some some reductions to bring that number down, but it's not gonna come down to, $1 million. There's no way.
So, I'm assuming you've already done the analysis that we don't have the 3.5 million. How that impacts the district across the entire district, right?
So if we have a $3.5 million deficit, I'm just gonna go to my next slide real quick.
Okay, thank you.
Our biggest driver is salaries. So it will definitely impact personnel. Just as the principals and the directors, we worked on this a couple of weeks ago. If we needed to reduce the 3.5 million, we're looking at 30 to 38 positions throughout the district, which is going to impact class size, programs, you name it, it's going to have a significant impact.
So a few years ago, we did an override.
Yes.
Was it 1.5 million?
That was 1.5.
If I'm right.
Yeah.
Memory, getting old brain. Night. That was to bring in some additional programming and teachers.
Correct.
And from what I hear, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, that's been successful to date. It's been very helpful.
Tremendously.
Yeah, that's what I thought, from what I've heard around town.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to take that away, what have you thought through? What's the impact of those programs that we added, the teachers we've added? What's the impact? It's like we just threw 1.5 million away. The way I see it, we just threw 1.5 million in the trash.
Yeah, so I definitely think
That's dramatic, and I know it's dramatic.
Yeah,
but this is difficult times.
This is serious, yeah. So it definitely impacts our programming. And I'll just give you an example. So we have, I like to think we have a really nice innovation pathway program and internship program.
Yeah.
This could impact that, where our students would not be able to participate in some of those great programs that we have, like in manufacturing and biotechnology.
And that's the event I went to at Hopedale High School,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and we have a large number of students who do participate.
Yes.
I think, and this isn't, I'm not trying to knock on BVT, but
No.
there was a time where we had 100 students, 120 students applying to Blackstone Valley Tech. The window just closed. We had 38. Because we're developing programs that kids want to stay in our building and do, right? And find those pathways, those career pathways for themselves. I'm very proud of that. I'm glad 38 kids applied to BVT. I think that's important, but I also like building programs within for our students. So that is going to be an impact. I think it also, making major cuts or reductions to our programs, it impacts confidence within our system. And I think parents would look at more opportunities for school choice, which impacts our budget.
Well, that costs us tremendously.
Exactly. So, programmatically, it does impact us, and it takes away some of the things that we were able to build with that 1.5. So I'm concerned about that. In this slide, I think we've positioned ourselves really strong for strong educational programs for all of our students, and we want to continue to build those. This will impact across the board, whether it's class size, athletics, arts, everyone will feel, a sting from this.
The one thing I have noticed in the slides, we saw earlier, previous slides, is that, 10 years ago, you sat there, I sat here. Why are we losing so many kids to the charter school and Medway? And we did sort of observation, we talked to parents, we did all of that. But I'm seeing that trend has changed, where there's fewer and fewer students leaving the town of Bellingham. So what you said you were going to do, set out to do, you've made really good progress. And what concerns me now is that it's not your fault or anybody's fault that we have all these folks moving into town that require IEPs. It's the way of the world. It just happens.
Yeah.
And I know people in other states where they've moved from state to state to state to continue getting support for their child because the state ran out of money or whatever. They had to go to another state. I get it. I'm not saying but it's a real problem. And every town is faced with this problem. Correct.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this a referendum on special education.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, these are services that we need to provide for our students, and every one of them are our students. And so whoever moves in, we want to educate them to the best of our ability and provide them the best educational opportunity that's out there.
This has to be probably ignorance on my part. Is there any federal money for students that are on an IEP, or state money for students that are on an IEP, or?
So we do get circuit breaker reimbursement.
You just don't know what that's gonna be.
We do, because we use, so the way it works is, let's say I go to a special ed school outside of Bellingham. Let's say it costs $100,000.
Okay.
The first 50,000 we pay roughly. Then whatever's remaining, the state reimburses at, what's the last one? 65%. Now that changes year to year, depending on the state budget and the governor and the whole process. We use last year's funds for this year. So I know how much we have going into each year because we use it from the prior year.
Okay.
So I'm pretty confident in what we have. I just never know what that percentage is gonna be for the following year. It depends.
You're not spending next year's money.
Correct.
Can't do that. You put yourself in a real bind.
I'm not even spending this year's money.
Right.
I'm spending last year's money. It puts us in a really good spot to know what we have for reimbursement.
Yeah.
But that's the crux of like the circuit breaker reimbursement piece. There is some transportation reimbursement built in there too, but it doesn't even come close to the increases that we've seen in tuition from these facilities. Some of them have gone up tremendously.
Is that contracts that you just have to work out, or is it?
The state approves their increase and we just have to eat
Deal
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, this is, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, this has always been a problem for the school department. It was when I was on the committee, is the state mandates. They just make educating our students, it's such an impossibility at times because of what they're demanding of us. And every city and town goes through this. This is not new.
Yeah. And to add what Ann just said, yeah, the mandates all have going up, but they're not supporting us financially. So this
Exactly.
is demanding, but they're not giving us the support.
So this is something we need to get like Rep. Soder and Senator Roush in on, and just kind of help advocate for us, because
They're aware. I mean, there's challenges, right? The Chapter 70 formula doesn't work phenomenal for Bellingham. So, we don't see a huge increase in Chapter 70. There's a thing called the Student Opportunity Act, which we get some monies from. But it's based on demographics and student needs. We're getting compared to say like Milford, we're getting nickels compared to dollars.
you just said that we have more students coming into town, so we should be getting more from that.
Can you explain how, I mean, I understand, but for the folks that may be watching this tomorrow on Zoom and others, can you explain the Chapter 70 to the general public, how it works and how we get the chapter? Like, why does Milford get a lot more than Bellingham?
So I can't explain the whole process.
Not the whole process.
The formula is
I love it.
incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
It's based on the number of students you have. It does look at the tax rate. It looks at a lot of different buckets of money and then determines a portion that Bellingham would get. So, we're at like $10 million in Chapter 70. Another community based again on demographics and all different factors could get more, right? It depends on how that formula works. Yeah. As a member of the Superintendent Association, we have been pushing for a revision to the Chapter 70 formula. It's really gotten nowhere.
Might take 10 years, like we heard earlier today.
It could. Yeah, it feels like it's been taken 10 years already.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why they put in the Student Opportunity Act, is try to, bring more funding to districts. But again, because of our population and demographics, we don't receive the same amount as, say, Springfield, Milford, Lowell. They're looking at millions of dollars and we're looking at 60,000.
Understood.
How many new students have we had come into the system?
I'd have to get that number for you. I'd have to get it for you. I don't want to guess.
Yeah, and like, see, we're gonna make a reference on special education, but it would be interesting to know the students coming into the town, the school choice, how you're coming in, and the ones that are coming in that require a continuation of their IEP, just a breakdown. Not that's gonna make a difference, just an understanding.
Sure.
But it just went up significantly.
40 something.
Yeah, with the IEPs and this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And understand too, we have students that leave Bellingham, right? So when you look at our enrollment, it's pretty pretty constant. It's
Okay.
not, we're not seeing huge shifts in our
So
population.
for how many we come in, just as many go out.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I've seen some numbers too, that like by the year of 2030, our student enrollment is on the decline. By 2030, we're gonna have fewer and fewer students.
I just did an enrollment projection with the New England School Development Council, so they look at who you have now, how many kids are being born, how many developments do you have going on in the town,
Yeah.
and then kind of extrapolate, our enrollment. If I pulled it up now, you would see that it's pretty constant over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's got a little dip in 5, and then it kind of bounces back a little bit, but I'm talking 10 kids,
Not a lot.
not a lot, yeah.
And if you look at the developments in town, I mean, the big ones, like the over 55 in New England Country Club, the one we heard earlier today, over 55 or senior, all the ones where we've got the larger projected, they're having a tougher time getting through the planning board. They just are. I mean, because of the type of development. So we don't really have a lot of new development, residential development going on for the general population, for the, the 25 to 54. And something has to be done about that.
I just wanted to show you one more slide, 2 slides. This one, I just wanted to say, so we do utilize our revolving account funds to try to balance our budget. That becomes very difficult because as I take the money away, it doesn't replenish by itself. So, those funds are being hopefully not fully exhausted, but they're getting close. We just instituted a budget freeze for our school district. We utilize our grants and any partnerships we have, and we try to be efficient in across operations throughout the entire district to make sure we're spending the money appropriately. Someone once said to me, and say it to this day, you're spending other people's money, so make sure you know what you're doing with it. So it's important. Finally, this is a slide that I really enjoy. Our total budget for Bellingham Public Schools is $41 million. But what the town is assessed, right, is 26 million. So when you take away Chapter 70 funds, when you take away the entitlement grants, school choice, private grants and fee-based programs, you look at all those, what's assessed to the town of Bellingham is 26,210,000, but our total budget is 41,196. I think that's my last slide. It is. Any other questions that I can answer on the school side?
Dan, do you have anything?
No, it's just, it's a frustrating situation, always has been.
I will say every community in our areas is going through the same thing. In the Blackstone Valley, I know at least 4 to 5 other districts that are, struggling with this right now and working the same as we are to try to get through this process. We have towns all around us who have tried overrides, who've tried, whatever, and it's been difficult. So this is a real challenging time for school districts across the Commonwealth.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's going to be for the entire town, and let's face it, putting an override out there right now, people are struggling so difficult. It's just been awful out there. So that would be a very difficult thing to process right now.
Just one thing for you. What do you think is the best solution for this, for the school side?
That's a tough question.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean,
A loaded one.
it's a loaded one. I mean,
Because there's nothing behind it. Honestly, you're very smart and intelligent and have the utmost faith in you.
thank you.
With our school district. What are your thoughts?
I mean, to bridge the budget gap, I mean, looking at what the town is pulling in for revenue and where we're at.
I don't want him to be alone sitting and answering this question.
Yeah, thank you. A little moral support, exactly. I think the what's in front of us right now at 3.5, an override would be, an answer. Is it the ultimate answer? No. As the year progresses, salaries increase. I can't tell you what special ed will come in the next 5 years. It's a challenge. We need some real work done at the state level to try to fix some of this stuff. And I know my association is,
That's what I want to hear.
yeah, my association has submitted countless bills to try to, bridge some of this gap. We have, in March, I'm part of a team that's going to be
we've invited all the legislators to, in the Tri-County area to a legislative breakfast where we have 3 bills that we want them to really consider hard for the next year in mitigating special ed costs, in trying to fully fund school districts at a better rate, and dealing with graduation requirements. So we're trying to push our legislators to do the work. And I know Rep. Soter and Senator Roush have listened to us, but we need more support to make this work.
You need more than just listening.
Yeah, and I think they're committed to making change. It's just really difficult.
It's hard to do by yourself.
Correct.
And the 3.5 that Peter mentioned is basically the total deficit that they're faced with, and not considering the 1.4 that's in the current budget. That's one of the things that, as a town, school and town together, we have to identify what that path forward is. If I gave the school department $400,000, maybe they're looking at 3.1, and maybe with some cuts, it's a 2.9. And then on the town side, we balance that almost $1 million deficit. Or, is it looked at as far as spread across evenly? But then you're looking at what's the net impact? Are there other populations we put at risk, other agreements with town residents like 2 years ago for additional support, that then you're saying, okay, well now, as you said, the 1.5 from 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, taking that away. Well, what about the one from 2 years ago? So we are in a challenge, and on the next slides, I'll show, sort of like the trend and sort of what contributed, because this is something that also, while we're trying to address in FY27, we have to be mindful as we looked at 28, 29, and 30, because there are trends, there are steps we need to do to try to develop a more sustainable rate of growth as well as rate of budgeting and practices that are going to take time. It's not going to solve this right here and now. But then also staff, the reason why I just mentioned as far as identifying that 400,000 is we also have to start preparing for the super budget Saturday and those conversations. And I can easily balance the town budget side by providing the school 400,000 rather than the 1.4 that we did last year. But those are the tough decisions that we're going to be entering into over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you. Over, bringing everyone on. So, taking a closer look as far as some of the factors that impact this budget, Heidi gave a great overview as far as just from revenue side where we are. But taking a closer look, we can see specifically that over the last 5 years and looking ahead to FY27, new growth is one of the major components that factors into our fiscal condition that has seen a significant drop. So, back in FY25, we were nearly at $2 million new growth, and now we're at a quarter of that. We're almost, 55% of where we were from last year. So new growth definitely had an impact coming into 27, that reduction. Also, health insurance. Health insurance, and this basically shows FY23, 24, and 5 appropriations. And you can sort of see that starting in FY24, we started having to supplement additional funding, infusions of free cash to bring up that total appropriation. So you had 800,000 in FY24. That increased to 1,300,000 in FY25, and this past fall for FY26, we added $1 million. We anticipate having to probably add another 500,000. We're looking at trends. We're not seeing a significant reduction in claims compared to last year. If anywhere, we're probably pretty similar. But one of the main things and why in this budget FY 27, we actually are increasing the appropriation by $1 million because continuing to sort of balance it out with free cash, reductions in new growth, reductions in free cash, and then also escalating health insurance costs. We need to try to head that off. So our hope is by appropriating at a higher level, we'll be able to reduce down any supplemental infusions of funds. But also you can see in 23 and then again in 25, we had, some deficits in that trust fund that then we had to take that from the fund balance and then we're basically putting back in through those free cash appropriations actions by town meeting. This is something that the board is aware, we're questioning the methodology. Does our current methodology of providing healthcare work? Do we need to look at other models? We are going to be working with Gallagher, our consultants, to redo that assessment because the assessment that was done also included 2 years around COVID, and everything changed after COVID. So the concern is that we may be on more of a trend that escalating health insurance claims will continue to have an impact. Yeah.
It's to negotiate a better contract relationship with our provider.
That's something so it comes down to plan design changes, which we for FY 27, back in the fall, the board executed that plan design agreement with the collective bargaining agreements, unions.
So not so much the coverage or how we pay out or what we provide or offer, but our umbrella coverage. I mean, is that something that we can negotiate to? I mean, are we locked into that? Do we just have to take whatever they give us as far as an increase and just run with it? Or is that something that
I think they're a vendor, right? It's a really good question. I think one of the things that would be worthy, because my understanding is Gallagher has come in and given the board a presentation, having that, because this is a significant issue. It's not going away. And as we go through over the next month and we're looking at the final sort of, say, before you're offering health insurance starting July 1st, there are some decisions that we need to make that relate to coverage and specific drugs that if we were part of GIC or Maya, those drugs would be dropped. We wouldn't even have an option. Here we have an option, but every option has a cost. So I do think bringing Gallagher in, talking about some of these things, finding out the flexibility, because essentially we have Harvard Pilgrim and Blue Cross Blue Shield. You have the plan design. They say this is how much it's going to cost without revising that plan design. You're sort of stuck, but they'd be a good one to sort of have that sort of neutral and objective ability to sort of answer some of those questions.
The gist of my question is that where I work, mine is changing every 18 months. We got a new provider because it's more cost effective and
a lot of
mindful of our coverage to our, to all of our employees, if you will, and people who we're lucky enough to have here. I want to make sure they get the best
Yeah,
we can
and
offer them, but I want to make sure that we're not obviously just being shoved down an increase because they can do it.
there are also state laws where municipalities can only make changes so often unless you're then reopening the negotiations with each bargaining unit, which that becomes a challenge to do it in a unified way. But I think those conversations are going to be having to have, especially depending on how this year goes, and it's not going away anytime soon.
I hate hearing cuts.
I know.
And you
I
hate
know.
hearing that's our only option. It's like,
Yeah.
is there any other wiggle room someplace else
Yeah.
that we're not, unturning that stone, if you will?
Yeah, and I think that's where redoing that health insurance assessment, looking at our looking at not only our costs, but also how other methods compare, it's a good time to bring that up because again, we're on the doorstep of FY 27, but the next step up is FY 28. And any decision we make now, you know, we need to consider next year and the year after as part of making a decision now. Pension costs are also increasing. You know, it's going up by $300,000 from FY 26 to 27. This would have been worse and would have been almost what it was like a 600. Had the Norfolk County retirement not pushed out the actual actuarially, I need to bring water when I'm speaking too much. Pushed out the final date that the trust fund needed to be paid through. So last thing, Heidi will just give an overview as far as this is a snapshot of the last 8 years worth of certified free cash and our expenditures.
You can see that it's been declining. You'll see the other column. That's mostly health insurance and snow and ice that we fund there. If it's not a capital project, it's usually health insurance and the snow and ice. And some of our other trust funds are in that column.
And then we hadn't touched on this mainly because it doesn't hit the operating budget, but it is something that we're going to be taking a look at if we go through that FY 27 budget process. This is what is expected for expenditure out of each of the enterprise funds, trash, water, sewer, stormwater. And the first is the budget amount, and then under where you see retained earnings, and I'll use trash as an example. Retained earnings used dash trash. Those are funds coming in from retained earnings to supplement and add to that budget amount. So the top line, the 2,150,000, that also includes an infusion of about 245,000 from retained earnings. For some of these items, they may be paying for debt due to capital, such as water. For others, it's being used to make sure that the account is solvent. And when we set rates, probably in another couple of weeks, another month, we'll have to take another look at that because some of the retained earnings, specifically for trash, are starting to dwindle. So what this FY 27 budget does not include, and you know, just kind of go over these pretty quickly. And sitting down with the fire chief and deputy fire chief, they identified that with the increasing call volume, and we're going to be bringing them in for the first meeting in March to sort of go over this. With the increased call volume, they could use 4 additional personnel. Police department is also seeing increases and identified they could use 2 additional personnel. As part of the capital request for town meeting, we have 2 cruisers that are being requested. Ideally, I'd like to start transitioning so we can start to have cruisers, or at least 1 within the operating budget, because these rotate out so quickly. They really are a operational expense. I've seen here in my time in town hall, there are additional needs. There are some departments that require additional support, even on a part-time basis. Also, we haven't had a conversation yet about the increased need for staff and expenses due to the PFAS facility that will start construction. We already met with Jesse last month on road and infrastructure demands. And we heard also a presentation from residents who are on the Open Space and Recreation Committee that were doing the plan, proposing a citizens petition for adopting the Community Preservation Act as a mechanism for devoted funding for open space recreation, affordable housing, and historic preservation. There are future opportunities, but like I mentioned, it's gonna take a little bit of time. You know, I'd like to talk at a future date with the board about reviewing town operations for efficiencies, not only looking at staffing, but also structures to identify improved efficiencies or make sure that any redundancy we can take care of. Also looking at implementing software solutions for very manual, labor intensive tasks like time and attendance. And also updating procurement procedures right now across various departments. There's an opportunity that maybe blanket unified contracts could save money on procuring services, maintenance, and similar purchases. We'll update the healthcare cost analysis, and also I'll be looking for opportunities for regionalization. We already have the agreement with Franklin, talking with the town administrator from Franklin about not only some improvements that are needed there, but also what the future of that operation looks like. Looking at some financial policies to provide more of a roadmap. And also one of the things we'll have to have as a conversation as a community is also pursuing strategic economic development opportunities. The state is coming out with basically an omnibus permitting process for battery storage. We have also town land that's available by the industrial park that we could put out RFPs and requests for proposals for use. I totally understand the pressure the town has been under historically, the warehouse development, residential development, but finding strategic ways to continue to grow and take the burden off residential tax payers. I think there are some opportunities for finding those strategic opportunities. So next steps, February 21st is the next scheduled meeting, and that's going to be our Super Saturday with presentation from various departments. Also identifying having a follow-up discussion on budget reductions versus an override. And then most likely in March, evaluating the trash, water, and sewer rates. So it's even though this is a challenging time and any community, a lot of communities are dealing with this, I do want to at least thank staff with the school department, staff in town hall, all the department heads. It has been great working with everyone on this, really trying to find solutions and pull together this information. Wish it was sort of a better situation, but sometimes having tough challenges is a better way to bring sort of a team together to try to find solutions. So I'd like to thank everyone and specifically Heidi and Chris for pulling together these numbers and helping with the presentation. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You talked out right.
Thank you.
My brain is thinking. My mouth is tired.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been working on budget stuff. But I do also want to let residents know. So with our Power Choice consultant, I've received a draft memo letter that's going to be going out to residents regarding an error that happened with rotating and signing up for the Bellingham Power Choice program. So I'm gonna read off of a section of this letter that reviewed today with the consultants that will be going out to residents. So for your December 2025, January 2026 billing cycle, the supply service portion of your bill was calculated using National Grid's basic service price of 15.484 cents per kilowatt. It should have been calculated at the lower Bellingham Choice standard price of 12 cents, 12.964 cents per kilowatt. To compensate you for this discrepancy, please find the enclosed check from Grid Wealth Electric, the program's electric supplier. Out of about 4,500 participants in the program, this affects 3,000. That is not a small number, but these are going to be going out most likely next week or the week after. I reviewed the draft letter today, said it looks good. It's going to be going out on from the town of Bellingham. So at least if something came from Grid Wealth, I'm sure people may mistake that for spam. So residents should look for that. There will be in that letter, and we're going to post it online as well. A phone number for people to contact the program consultants. But we had received some calls.
Facebook posts.
Exactly, on that. So the consultants will be sent.
And that's just National Grid customers, correct? I believe Eversource in
There, it does impact some
Eversource.
as well. Majority though are National Grid. So besides that and budget stuff, want to also thank the DPW crew as well as our emergency departments. This was for many people the first time some of our DPW employees got to see a larger snow event because it's been 3-4 years, and we have, just like on the administrative side, we have a lot of new employees. So they did a great job. Residents have provided feedback. It's always an opportunity to revisit and find areas that can improve, and hopefully we don't have another storm to then sort of learn from anything, but we still have a lot of winter, and as was shown in Pennsylvania, 6 more weeks.
Yeah, I got a big problem with that road.
Yeah. So other things working on, starting to work on some town meeting articles. The warrant is going to be closing the end of the month. Also working with HR on some job description revisions, postings that we're going to be sending out, advertising for positions later on this week and next week. And also all these is an opportunity to sort of say, okay, how did we get here? How old is the job description? Let's take a look. Does it reflect where we are? So we're taking opportunities to sort of get make sure everything's updated and reflects what we truly have and need before hitting the street. So, great.
All right, before we fill the agenda, Chief Miller, Chief Fitzgerald, thank you very much for the services you guys provided during the storm. Sure, it wasn't easy. I saw you guys, both of your departments out in full force, and the fire department, the parking lot was at least full on the south side of the station, across the street. Great work, and our DPW did an amazing job doing what they needed to do. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Jen,
Second. All right, Cody, we got
and I.
Don, I you.
Hanson, and it's gone. Listen. Back. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.